Yeah, this is fine. It's totally fine. Nothing to worry about. All right, this plane is down right now because when the pilot was running it up, he noticed that when he turned his electric fuel pump off, he didn't have any fuel pressure at all. Even if he went full throttle, he didn't have fuel pressure, but the engine was still running just fine. This is a carbureted engine. The reason it was still running is because the tanks are full and it was making enough pressure from the weight of the fuel to push into the carburetor. But if they ever went nose up or anything like that, the engine definitely would have died. So it was a heads up pilot noticing he didn't have fuel pressure. Okay, so we got the old engine driven fuel pump out and we took it apart just to see if it was something obvious before we send it back to the company. If you pay attention right by where my thumb is, there it looks like a little flat line. That was actually the hole in the diaphragm that we didn't even see at first, but that's the hole, and that's why it wasn't working. As you see, it's got fuel pressure. The fuel pump is off, so we're turning off the auxiliary fuel pump. Now, the pilot that noticed it on ground run up, everything was running fine. It was making fuel throttle, but it had no fuel pressure. The reason it was still running is because both the tanks are full and it had enough weight to push fuel into the bowl of the carburetor. But had they done a pitch up on takeoff, it probably would have died. So it was a good move on the pilot. Cessna 172 in here for an annual. Taxiing in, we noticed it's making a super weird, kind of like a popping noise. Took the fairing off because I thought that was it. The brakes were not engaged. I've got my feet on either side of the tires and you can hear it. So, and we've played around moving the fairing around the strut around and it doesn't change the sound. It sounds like it's coming from inside the cockpit, so that's what we're troubleshooting now. The coil did not work. So that's been completely removed and it's louder. Okay. Well, it is definitely the axle where it attaches to the strut through that one bolt there. So you can hear it. So you can actually see where it's been rubbing and popping there and there. So that axle was probably the easiest one that I've ever removed. You can actually see where the epoxy from the factory was, and I guess it just it didn't take, or maybe they had a hard landing or some crosswind or something. So to fix it, we're gonna mix adhesive and apply a layer to the outside surface of the strut where the axle will touch, and you have to make sure that the 9309 doesn't touch the bolt, especially the threads of the bolt, because then it's like Loctite forever. Jacob, what are you doing? Are you sure that grass is not structural to the aircraft?
I'm pretty sure it's not.
And there's a dead bird in there somewhere?
Yeah, he's in the bottom. There's probably gonna be more.
Yeah!